Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Peter Jennings, and I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry. And excited to be doing another lineup review here at Fantasy Labs. And I'm recording this late Sunday night. What a freaking weekend! And it's a little depressing to think. Obviously, there's two majors left in golf, but we're really in the dog days of summer, and there's just not as much entertaining sports going on. Obviously, the baseball regular season with DFS is fun, but there's no just amazing games. I'm a huge NBA fan. And the playoffs this year were just incredible to watch, and it was just such a joy watching, playoff basketball. So sad to see it end, but what a game tonight, and big time congrats to Cleveland. I thought Golden State was going to win the series, but certainly very happy. I'm a big Kyrie supporter, always been a huge fan of LeBron James, and it's always great to see a city like Cleveland get a championship. So I thought it was an incredible series, and big time congrats as well in the U.S. Open to Dustin Johnson, which is going to get me into one of my real quick rants. And basically, I think that there's too much judgment on players winning championships and winning these big events. I think that defines their legacy too much and defines the type of player they are. So let's look at LeBron, for example. If LeBron doesn't win Game 7 tonight and the Cavs don't win, the narrative is going to be so different. He's now 2-5 in finals, and if they somehow lose by 2 tonight, or they lose by 4 instead of winning by 4, we're not talking about the greatest finals performance ever, or one of the greatest finals performance ever by LeBron. We're talking about how he didn't get it done, and somehow these small margins where he wins is worth so much in legacy. And I understand. I know that that's what we want in this society, and that's how we've always judged athletes from a historic perspective, but I just think it's unfair, and I think Dustin Johnson in particular has gotten way too much of that in golf. I do think there's a big four, and I think Dustin Johnson, along with Jason Day, Roy McIlroy, and Jordan Spieth, is the big four in golf right now. And certainly there's other great players like Adam Scott, Ricky Fowler, Bubba Watson, etc. But I do think there's four guys right now who are clearly a notch above everyone else. And I was just excited to see Dustin get the win because, again, he gets so much grief. He gets labeled a choker. Even last year when he made that par in 18 instead of 2-putting for birdie, I mean, he had an incredible drive and then one of the best approaches and just got very unlucky with the putts, in my opinion. And because of that, he gets labeled a choker instead of an elite golfer. And I'm really happy he got the monkey off his back winning this U.S. Open. And certainly a great golfer and a golfer that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So without further ado, let's dive into the U.S. Open lineups and the results. First thing I'm just going to look at is a millionaire maker. I'm only going to look at one lineup, but going to look at the nut lineup. MMCCONN with the nuts. I mean, won the thing by 19 points, which is so hard to do when it's this low scoring. And just had like the perfect lineup. I mean, literally had first, second, fifth. The nuts. Literally the best possible lineup you can have. And it's just an incredible finish for him. Furyk, Sergio, Brandon Grace, Dustin Johnson, Lowry, and Percy. So if you're watching this, I mean, he has all these guys pretty low owned, Piercy, Lowry, and Furyk. It's amazing he had them on the same lineup and just hit the pure stone cold nuts. So congrats on winning $1 million. That's what a perfect lineup looks like. And it's amazing just seeing someone turn $20 into $1 million. So big time congrats on that. And I don't think there's too much to take from this lineup. I mean, I don't know how he pegged this lineup as a perfect lineup. I had exposure to everyone in this lineup except Lowry and Percy, which makes sense. They're very low owned, but great lineup nonetheless. And congrats on taking home $1 million. So let's go to the Thunderdome, which is a fun tournament to sweat every week. Most of my lineup reviews include this. This time we had a much bigger Thunderdome. It was 140 people. Normally it's about 20, but for the majors they really amp it up. So 150K to first, 100 for second, 75 for third, 50 for fourth, and on the way down. So really fun tournament. I did enter the tournament 5 times. I was fortunate to take 4th for 50,000 and 15th for 12.5. So finally had a nice positive over 100% return in the Thunderdome. I've not been having that much success since the Masters, where I was fortunate enough to take second, but I guess I've been fortunate to run really well in the majors, so certainly feeling very happy about that. But it was a great sweat. The team that took first here, I guess we can look at this one first. The one thing I did with this team that I think will help you guys is the weather was tricky. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen with the rain and when it would hit, and if there was going to be multiple delays, if they're going to be able to finish on Thursday, what was going to basically play out. And what ended up happening is the lightning on Thursday made it impossible for guys in the afternoon to get out, which turned out to be a tremendous advantage because they got to play 36 holes on Friday, which is when the course played the easiest by far. The course was very wet. So on this team here, I actually had 6 guys who all started in the afternoon, who all teed off on Friday. So I did that. I did an all-early team. I did an all-late team. I ended up favoring the late side just a little bit because I thought there was a good chance that there'd be a big delay and they'd get out with great conditions on Friday morning. I didn't anticipate, not getting it off at all Thursday, but really worked out there. And that's one way you can do it. If you're not 100% sure, but you think there might be a big edge with one of the draws, and you're just trying to play kind of the guessing game with the rain, one thing you can do is take all the guys from one set of tee times, the afternoon, or you can take all guys from the morning. And I did one of each because I wasn't sure, and it turned out to be massive, where the guys who went out late had a huge advantage. So let's look at this team. Obviously, I had Dustin. One overall arcing theme is I built around a core for all these lineups, but I did spread the superstars. I had Dustin twice. I had Day once. I had Rory once, and I had Spieth once. I was least bullish on Spieth, but because of what happened in the Masters, where I got him at 3% owned, I felt like I had to play him because I thought he was going to be low owned again. He was like a 12% owned, so he's still a good ownership play, and I think there's always merit to taking Spieth in the majors. Just because his putting can keep him in any tournament, and he's just a guy that I think peaks at the right time. I think he's very in tune with how to peak and how to maximize just his course management and mental game. So I'm always going to have exposure to Spieth in these big spots. And I guess one other thing I should just explain quickly. The Thunderdome, the way I used it this week, was a great opportunity to hedge out some of the volume I had. So I had a lot of cash game teams. I had some other tournaments, and basically I built around a very small core for cash games, and I was able to diversify with some other positions that I was bullish on for a tournament, and that's how I got exposure to guys. So I did diversify a little bit. I still had a core here in the Thunderdome, but I did diversify to get exposure to different guys, and certain guys I didn't use nearly as much because I was so overweight on them in cash games. In particular, in cash games, I was very high on Chappell, who I used a lot here still, Koepka, and Kuchar, and I only played Kuchar in 2 out of 5 lineups, which is probably a mistake because I thought he was one of the highest EV guys. Probably should have used him in 3, but my thinking was fading him could be really nice in the Thunderdome because I thought he was going to be the highest owned golfer. So let's continue to look at my lineup here. I had Dustin, obviously, who won. Koepka, who I just talked about. Schwartzel was one of my core plays in cash and in this tournament. And then I had Brendan Steele at a really low ownership. I liked him. It's one of Colin's favorite plays. And I really liked him on this lineup because he was teeing off late. So I only had one share of him in the 5 lineups, but I thought this was a great spot. Henrik Stenson, who, come on. I mean, if Stenson doesn't WD or even has a reasonable round on Friday, I'm in position to win this thing pretty easily. And it's easy to always say that. You complain about the one guy you have missed the cut, but shoots a 69 as 1 under after the first little bit. He's playing the easy part of the day. And then you see the 72 here, but that's only through 16 holes. So he was going to shoot an 80, like 10 over, 11 over, 12 over, whatever, on his second part of it, or his second round. And he just didn't even bother to finish because it was so pathetic. So that was the one really tilting thing for me because I knew this team had a lot of equity, even late on Friday, as that Stenson missed. I did have a good amount of exposure to him. And he's just burned me in these big spots. So I'm going to have to reevaluate a little bit. I do like his game in general, but there's just some weird mental stuff with Stenson, and certainly frustrating to get burned by him. And then the pick that I'm really proud of that I used a ton in the Millionaire Maker is Justin Thomas. I just think he has a ton of upside. And the one thing you see here is he outscored both Steele and Schwartzel, even though he finished higher over par because he put together a lot of birdies. And he's definitely capable of that. Really talented young golfer. He does struggle off the tee sometimes and can have some really bad scores, but I thought he was a great flyer and a great GPP play because I thought he was going to go overlooked. I thought at his price point, a lot of people were going to take other guys, and that turned out to be very true. I got him at 1.4%. Only 2 of us on him in the Thunderdome. So very proud of that. He made sense too because he teed off late, and this team took 4th. The next team was another Dustin Johnson team, similar names. I was very happy to get Adam Scott at a low ownership. I thought he was going to be very low owned. I thought Rose was going to be very low owned. I was just a little too scared of Rose's back to play him, so I thought there was a lot of leverage there. I did have some chalk in this lineup. I knew DJ would be chalk and Schwartz would be chalk, so I differentiated with Scott. I thought was a really solid play. JB Holmes I liked a lot as a tournament play. Didn't work out. I only had 1 share of him. And then Matthew Fitzpatrick, who I talked a lot about in my model preview. So another good team here. It was definitely fun knowing I had good equity in both these teams. They actually started off very close together, 9th and 10th to start the day on Sunday, and then Koepka just really propelled the other team. And if you didn't have Koepka, you weren't making a big move on the Sunday leaderboard. All right, so the next 3 teams that I had, Chappell, Day, Garcia, Grillo, and Keltson. Keltson was one of the cheap guys who used a ton. He was very popular. I think he made a lot of sense. A lot of other players used him as well, 21%. Played Kuchar here. And where I tried to differentiate was with Grillo and Sergio. Sergio ended up being, decently popular, 11%. Because I had 3 guys I thought were going to be really owned. I was surprised Chappell was only 17%. And he was even lower owned in the Millionaire Maker, but I thought he was going to be a really popular play. So with him and Day and Kuchar, I knew I had to go in a different direction. And not a team that I hate by any stretch. I think it's well here, and I think I did a good job to get exposure to some different guys like Sergio. And obviously, I was very bullish on Kuchar. I had him 100% in cash, but I mixed him in here on a Thunderdome team. So the next 2 teams after that was a middle of the pack team. The next 2 teams were terrible. Look here, I had Chappell everywhere, Keldson again, so you can see I kind of had a core. Schwartzel I used a lot. And then I went with Spieth and Matsuyama, and when I first looked at ownerships, I really liked this team because I had my good group of core guys, and then I had Spieth at 12.1% and Matsuyama at 9%. So I thought that was great. I thought I got a great team there where I had nice equity with 2 guys that were low owned, 2 guys that I relatively liked, especially in tournaments, and it just didn't work out. But as you can see here, I definitely spread. I had exposure to some of the top guys, and in general, I sometimes, I like to make a stand, especially if I'm playing like the $300 tournament or the 1Ks, and just really kind of go in on a core. But like I said before, I had a lot of volume this week, and I did use the Thunderdome to get exposure to some other guys. So I didn't have any Matsuyama or Spieth shares really anywhere else, but I was able to get some good equity on them here in the Thunderdome. And then finally, the team that just absolutely stunk, Rory, was very disappointing to me. Much higher owned in the Thunderdome, which I think was sharp. I thought he was the overall best play right there with Jason Day. And I also like Dustin Johnson a lot, but I thought he was the overall highest projected golfer because I thought driving the golf ball was going to be at a premium. And he did that. He drove the ball pretty well. Obviously, DJ drove the ball the best, but the bugaboo was just bad putting. And said it before, and it's something I just need to keep thinking about, especially in these big spots. You just want guys who can putt. I don't care if the stats bear out that putting is not important. It's always important, especially in the majors. And I'm going to try just do a little bit better job. It's not going to stop me from taking Rory in the future. I think he's fantastic, especially for DraftKings golf. But I definitely had to think about just the value of putting. And whenever you think, hey, putting doesn't matter, you'll watch and you'll realize, okay, that's where the most strokes come from. That's the part of the game that really differentiates these guys. So not too disappointed. I had Webb Simpson here. I played him some in cash. I played Patrick Reed, who I wanted. I had Kuchar, Chappell again, and Cabrera Bello, who I thought was a really nice play, 14%. And you can see the ownerships here. Rory and Kuchar very highly owned. I thought Reed would be lower, but 17.1 pretty strong, and then Webb at 8%. So hope you guys learned something from my lineups. Let's also take a look at A.E. Jones, who big congrats to him. Aaron is a fantastic guy. Really, really nice. Great on Twitter. Very sharp. Obviously won the $5 million in the NFL, and amazing DFS NBA player, great at golf. I mean, the guy's just an absolute stud and one of the best overall DFS players in the game. So big congrats to him for shipping another 150,000. So adding to his already big bankroll. Nice team here. Like if you went through my lineups, I had exposure to every single one of these guys. I played Burger and Cash. I ended up fading him in the Thunderdome just to get some good different guys in because I thought he was going to be very heavily owned. And that was the one thing I did with tournaments. I played him a lot in the 1Ks and other things, but it just didn't work out that I got him in. One guys I did want to get in the Thunderdome that I didn't was Burger, but I had a ton of equity on him in Cash and other things. So this was basically my core here. You saw I had I had Schwartzel, I had Kuchar, I had Koepka, and I had Day. I mean, this is all chalk. You see the lowest owned guy he has here is 10%, and he won the tournament. So you don't always have to build a very contrarian lineup, especially in something like the Thunderdome where essentially 20% of the field gets paid, and A.E. Jones shipped it with a great lineup. So hope this was helpful for you guys. I went on a little rant there about just some opinions I have on sports, and I hope you guys enjoyed the weekend as much as me. I will be back again doing a model preview, and of course we'll be doing a lineup review of next week's golf. I don't even know what it is. I haven't looked, but it should be a lot of fun. And of course, the most important thing, always looking to see more Fantasy Lab subscribers at the top of the leaderboard.